Hello, I'm John, and I'm a person in long-term recovery, and I'm gonna give you my story today. Um, so I grew up in a middle-class, normal type household. I really wouldn't say there was much crazy about my childhood, um, but I I kind of knew from an early age that I had a very addictive personality. Because any kind of substance, no matter what it was, once I touched it, I could not put it down, or if I'd obsess over anything, really. I'd get addicted to fishing, whatever the case may be. I was a very addicted personality. So, I started dipping and smoking when I was like 11 years old, and it was balls to the walls after that, constantly dipping and smoking. Then I started drinking at 13, 12, 13. Same thing, could not put it down. Drank all the time as much as I could, get my hands on it. It was a little harder because I was 13, so there was times I was sober, obviously. Um, then I was always against any kind of drug, even smoking pot throughout middle school, high school, and pretty much just dipped and drank like a fish up into college. And then when I got into college, I met a good friend of mine, and we went fishing all the time. And he didn't drink; he just smoked a lot of weed. So of course, I eventually tried it. Um, I obviously fell in love with it, and I couldn't put it down. Just like everything else I've tried, couldn't put it down. So I become a major pothead, and I don't just start smoking it. I start growing it, selling it, the whole 9 yards. I got a big grow out set up. I'm doing my thing, smoking ridiculous amounts of weed, and still drinking and still smoking and all that good stuff. I'm like, so I'm in college, I'm working, and I start a hunting business with my uncle. And so I'm trying to go to college, work, and run this hunting business and smoke on my pot and stuff like that. So I'm just like juggling all these things and getting kind of wore down. And and I was selling weed to my grandfather. Sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit. And he came to me one day and said, "I have these pills, oxycodone 30s." At this point, I had never known anything about pills or anything of that such. Didn't know what they would sell for or anything. He was like, "Look, I'll give you the pills. You can go sell them. You just give me all the pot I need." All right, I can do that. I just did it because he's my grandpa and I was helping him out. He said that these pills are worth like $30 a pop. I should be able to get. I'm like, $30 a pop? That's crazy. There ain't nobody in the world gonna pay that. You're crazy. Here, here's your weed. Give me the pills. It's fine, Gramps. No problem. So back to it. I was doing this hunting business with my uncle, and I was the only person I was really selling the pills to was my uncle, and he was paying for them and stuff. Uh, and at that time, I was just like running ragged, going between going to school, doing this business. Cause I was driving 3 hours to drop off hunters in Steenahatchee, where my property was. 3 hours back doing exams or whatever at college, going back and then going back to work, going to sleep, repeating the day. So I was getting pretty run down pretty quick. But I'd see him take these pills and have plenty of energy, going, 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 going. And so he was like, "Man, try one day." I did, and oh yeah, I got everything done. Constant, go, 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 go. I was loving it, and I didn't know anything about withdrawal or anything at that time. I just thought, man, this is a great upper. I get to go, go, go. And I had unlimited stock of them. I didn't have to pay for them. It wasn't no big deal. I was like, great, I'm making money. I'm growing weed, selling weed, doing this hunting business, working, going to college. I'm at the top of my game. So I wasn't thinking anything bad about anything that was going on. So then I keep taking these pills, and I get up to a pretty decent amount I'm taking a day. I think it was like 5 at this point a day. Uh, and I stopped caring so much about school. And I was doing this hunting thing, and then uh, one day our hunter got taken. There was a guy cooking meth out on the back of our property, and I didn't know it because I wasn't really walking my property and taking care of things like I was, because I was more worried about getting high on these pills and making sure I had them, blah 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 blah. Well, the hunter that had his grandson out was they walked onto this guy's property, and they didn't weren't aware. They were just kind of walking, and this guy brought him out by gunpoint, and so we ended up getting shut down all this because him and his grandson just had a gun pointed to their head, and they weren't too happy about it. So there goes that hunting property, gone. Well, then my grandfather passes, and there goes my pills. So a major source of my income, and like something I was very passionate about, is gone, and now my supply of these pills was gone. And at that point, I was at like 10 a day or more. So now I don't have that income coming. I'm still growing weed, selling it, and working, but um, the pills and the hunting's gone. And now this is when I realized what withdrawals were. I remember running out completely, and I had like 3 days gone by, and I'm feeling horrible. And it didn't click that it was the pills doing it to me. And I was telling one of my buddies that I was selling these pills to, not my uncle, that how I was feeling. Now, like my bones are shaking, I can't sleep, and I feel horrible. Like I feel like I'm dying. And they were like, "Well, when's the last time you had a pill?" And I'm like, "When does that matter? It's been a couple days." They're like, "Well, that's your problem right there." I said, "What do you mean?" They're like, "You're going through withdrawal." I'm like, "Withdrawal?" Yeah. So they're like, "Here, take some of these. You'll feel better." I took some of the Percocet or whatever they gave me. Instantly felt great. I was like, "Wow!" And then it was on. Um, I knew right then and there I was done for. It was a rude awakening, to say the least. Um, and meanwhile, my wife really didn't know what was going on. She knew I was using the pills, but she didn't know the extent of it. Well, now I'm having to try to find and buy these things, and I had like a $300 a day habit. So my money's gone from the hunting, and I was cleaning houses at the time. Well, I had the bright idea that, oh, cleaning houses, there might be pain pills in people's bathrooms and things like that. And sure enough, first bathroom I thought about and went in there, pain pills. And so every house I went into, I would take all the pain pills and run off with them. Well, that blew up in my face real fast. And then I lost my job. So now I don't have any source of income. I have a major drug addiction, and I had money saved up, but I was blowing through it real fast. So that's when my wife really realized what was going on, and she was like, "All right, something needs to happen." Blah blah, and yeah. And I tried to check myself in the detoxes a few times, and I'd get out just a couple days clean, and I'd just go right back to using. I wasn't really trying that hard. I wanted to get clean, but I didn't at the same time. I was real mixed about it. So then it goes back and forth like that for a while. Well, then I get like really, really bad on it, and I start selling everything I own. I had a gun collection, 30 plus guns that my grandfather had given me. Um, both of my grandfathers, and this still kills me to this day. I sold every one of them guns for next to nothing just to get high. And so then when my wife's really starting to realize he has a major problem, and she asked me to go get checked into a rehab. I booked a week into it, go right back on the street, and she stayed by me this whole time. My wife, I love her to death. She really held it down with me. But so I leave that time, and then I get think, okay, I'm cannot keep affording doing all these pills. So I get the bright idea. I'm gonna switch to heroin. That will save me money. So that's what I did. I switched to heroin, and it did for a while. It saved a lot of money. I went from a $350 a day habit to a $50 a day habit. But then my heroin dealer had methamphetamine, and he said, try this with it, because the heroin didn't give me the rush like the oxy did. So I did that, and now I'm mixing heroin and meth. So that goes for a while. I'm still selling some stuff. I kind of level out for a little bit, maybe a couple months. And then my heroin addiction takes off, and so does my methamphetamine. I get up to the point where I'm doing like 1.5 grams of heroin a day, 8 ball of meth, and I'm just like going, going, going. So then I try to go to rehab for the second time. This time I am going there, and I wanted to be there, but I was just blowing it off too, as in like acting like whatever, I'm too good for this place, or I don't really need to be here, I don't really have a problem. And I was just acting a fool, acting like a complete jackass in there, and I get thrown out. And that's a whole other story. So then I get back, my wife's still staying with me. She's just like telling me, you need to figure this out. We have 2 kids, 3 now. And so then uh, I go for a while where I'm just like trying to quit on my own, back and forth, back and forth. But then I get turned on to these things called the fish games, gambling. And then it gets real bad, because now not only I have a heroin addiction, now I have a methamphetamine addiction and a heroin and a gambling addiction, and I'm like gambling huge amounts of money away. At one point, I took $10,000 we had saved and blew it in less than 2 weeks. And my wife found out about it, and that was her money we were saving up to buy a house, and it was just gone. I blew it all on meth, heroin, and gambling. And she still stayed by my side. She was very disappointed with me. I checked me into a detox again. I get out, same cycle. So then I start stealing a lot from my family, trying to support my habit. I'm stealing a lot from my wife and my kids, meaning that I'm taking literally money that should be going to them, and I'm just taking it out of the account, blowing it, blowing it, blowing it. My wife can't keep up. She's the only one working at this time, because I couldn't hold a job down for more than a month, because I was just, if I didn't have my drugs, I couldn't function. I'm just blowing all this money. I steal them from her, my grandmother, my mom, my dad, anybody I could and think I could get away with it, I was stealing from them. And I screwed over a lot of my good friends. Just it turned me into somebody that I did not recognize. I was always a very trustworthy person. I valued trust and respect more than anything in life, and the morals were gone. I literally did not recognize the man I looked at in the mirror every morning. So at this point, I'm just like, I'm feeling hopeless. I do not feel like I'm ever going to get clean. I do not feel like there is hope for me. At the point, this felt like I did not even deserve to keep moving on and doing this to my wife, my kids, my mom, my grandmother, etc. I felt worthless. Uh, so then I start, my family pushes me away. Not really, they just stayed at afar. They loved me from afar. They did not trust me at all anymore, so I couldn't come around. my wife, she knew my tricks, so she locked up the accounts. I had no access to anything, yeah, but she still stayed by my side. And she still told me she loved me every day, and that's probably the only reason I kept trying. Uh, so I started robbing stores. And this is when I started getting in trouble with the law. Uh, I just would go into a store, grab whatever, like the smallest and most expensive things I could, and just run out the door. And you could try to catch me. I was just, it didn't matter if you were standing in my way, I'd run go. I was getting what I had to get high. So I was stealing from uh, so many different places. Well, uh, I eventually Target had gotten a 4 different. I was stealing from like 4 or 5 different counties. I was going from all these counties back and forth, and Target had gotten a case against me starting to build up. I was unaware of. Well, I get popped at Ocala Target one day, and they get me for grand theft and uh, felony possession of an anti-shoplifting device, and then about 10 other felony drug charges because I had a bunch of drugs in my pocket. And I go to Marion County Jail. So I'm sitting in Marion County Jail, and little I know that Target had all these other cases against me for all the other counties. So I'm sitting in Marion County Jail with facing 10 felonies in Marion County, and then detectives from other counties start coming to meet me in jail. From Sumter County, Oviedo County, Lake County, and then Marion. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I am so screwed. They're talking about me going to prison for a few years, and that's if I'm lucky. Well, I get a lawyer, and I get some of the stuff worked out, and um, Marion County offered me drug court. They didn't. They said that I don't know if I'll be eligible, but here's the things to try to sign on. That's what my lawyer recommended me to do as well. So I was like, okay. So I applied for drug court, um, and I'm in drug court, and I'm still having all these other counties pending. I haven't gone to court yet because of the whole Corona thing. So the 3 other counties were still pending as I'm dealing with trying to get into drug court for Marion. And I get in up there, and the judge, uh, the district attorney, I should say, told the judge that I shouldn't get the chance. I swore out for prison and then some. And the judge looked at me and said, "Are you serious about getting clean?" And I told him, yes, I was definitely serious about getting clean. I need to. I'm losing. I lost everything. I'm just in a desperate place. If you give me the chance, I won't let you down, type thing. So he lets me in. By the grace of God, somehow I got in, and that I started working a program, and then I met an amazing guy named Robert with 0 Hour, and I started going to his meetings. I'm doing the drug court thing, and I stayed clean for about a month, and then I started slipping. Not bad like I usually did because I had people that I was talking to, like Robert, and he'd come meet me when I was having a crisis, and then uh, they all come to the conclusion I should go to residential and actually stay this time. And that's what I decided to go to residential. Well, just before I go to residential, all these other counties tell me it's ready to go to court time. So I have to go to court 3 different times just before I go into residential treatment. So I might be going to jail or prison before I even make it into residential. I said, whatever, I gotta face this. I gotta take care of it. I get to every county, and every one of them counties, when I told them that I was staying clean now, I'm getting checked into residential in the next day or two. I'm just, if you send me to jail, it's just gonna derail everything I've been working towards. and every one of them counties dropped all the charges and allowed me to go into drug residential and continue with my journey on recovery. And I think that was my higher power looking out for me without a doubt. And if that's not a sign, I don't know what is, because I had a bunch of serious charges. Um, and I really thought it was going to blow up in my face. And by the grace of God, it didn't. So them all get dropped. So now all I have to do is worry about Marion County felony, the 10 felonies. So I go through residential, and when I first get there, my son was being born, was scheduled to be born, and I was in there. And when he was born, they wouldn't let me go see him because of Corona. So I was still early, and I was just acting kind of like an asshole again, almost like I was trying to get kicked out like I did previous. And my counselor Sarah, thank God for this woman. She literally saved my life. She sat me down and something just clicked with me with her. And she's like, look, you can blow this whole thing up, go see your son one day, and then end up going to prison, or you can stay here, be quiet, learn something, and save your life. And that's what I did. I stayed there, learned something, and I almost have a year clean today because of that woman. And I thank God for her, and I thank my higher power every day for all what He has done for me in this journey of recovery and the gifts I've received already. So I get out of residential, and I immediately meet back up with Rob from 0 Hour, and I start hitting meetings all the time, and I'm doing the drug court thing, and it just becomes smooth sailing after that. So now I'm at the point where I have my uh, the coping skills I learned in the residential treatment programs and in my IOP, and I use them and I apply them daily. And I have uh, my daily maintenance I have to do to stay in my recovery, and that's what I have to do. And I do never steer from that, and it's what's keeping me clean. And I call a person in long-term recovery anytime, even the slightest thing comes up, and that has what's keeping me clean. Um, and that and help from 0 Hours of all the members of that group. I can't thank everybody enough. I now host meetings with them, and I love my Thursday host. It gives me a sense of purpose, um, and and now I am sponsoring guys. There's a buddy of mine that's in residential right now. I'm going to go see him on Saturday, and just give a little bit of what I gotten back, and that's what it's all about. So, um, and that's my story uh, of recovery. Thank you for hearing it.